feel like I'm being followed.
You know, my favorite thing about love is it gives you second chances.
You'll always be a part.
There was a lot of big twists, in terms of how Marianne even comes back as well. And I wondered, when did you first find out? Was that in the script? Was that way back in season 3? How long have you known her journey?
So I only knew, so season 3 and season 4 are very separate for me. I knew at the start of season 3 that I was going to be in season 4, but I didn't know what capacity yet. And so Sarah told me what Marianne's journey would be through season 4 in January of last year, about 2 months before we started filming. So I just had a bit of time to sort of mentally prepare and get ready for the sort of whirlwind that Marianne was going to be sent on. I was super excited by it though. Just to that's such an iconic piece of the show, or iconic set of the show. So it's I was like, oh shit, and I don't know, I got excited for the acting challenge. And then just with the twist in general, I just get so thrilled by the way Sarah and our writing team continue to top themselves with this show, because it's it could have gotten old so easily to just see a dude going around killing people, but the fact that they've made that his character is developing somehow, as a psychopath, just genius. As a psychopath, his character is still developing and changing and being affected by his crazy world. I think is just awesome. The twist this season is just so
yeah, really good twist. I love them. I wondered, it sounds like you had a lot of fun with it. I wondered, was it quite intense at points, the cage scenes, or was it just a blast the whole time?
Oh no, it was for sure intense. That's what I'm saying. It definitely challenged me as an actor to find new spokes on the spectrum of human emotion. And then just basically doing, in some ways, a one-man show for portions of it, and being able to trust myself and let go of my anxiety and insecurity. I'm like, oh my God, all of the attention's on me and I don't know how to do this. But just trying to put the focus in that way back into Marianne and really grasp, what does solitary confinement do to somebody, and what do the stages of that devolvement look like, or that de-evolution? So yeah, that was a huge challenge for me. But I guess still fun and still a blast in the way that that's what I live for as an actor, is those kinds of challenges. Because it's how you get to grow.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Did you ever find it hard to switch off after filming, or was it a very separate, compartmentalized experience?
Oh no, there were some days where I just broke down, and I remember one day that I was crying so bad that everybody, they let me off set. Somebody brought me juice. And I just sat outside for a while, just trying to calm down and breathe, and just re-ground myself back into reality, into into my actual and because something I've been realizing just more lately is that as an actor, when you put yourself into certain situations, though you consciously may know that it's not actually happening, your body doesn't all the time. You're just putting your body through a bunch of trauma that your body doesn't know is not real. So I very much had to take moments to reorient myself and remind myself that because though I've never been through the extremity of some of Marianne's experiences this season, but just I have been through things like abusive relationships and that sort of toxicity. And so calling upon certain emotions for things and then remembering that, okay, we're not there anymore. It's not real. We're here. Got intense sometimes throughout the whole course of Marianne, from season 3 just to season 4. But still, yeah, I'm happy I was surrounded by good people to be able to reground me. Penn is wonderful for that as well. So yeah.
You have some really big twisty moments. In particular, the revelation about Reese not being real per se, being in Joe's head. I wondered, did you know from the start that was going to be your character's arc, or was that something you kind of encountered as you read through the script?
I mean, I think to be able to take on a role like that, I needed to find out as much information as possible. And Sarah Gamble was very forthcoming in letting me know what was, what I was in for, basically. I mean, it was exactly the sort of role I was hoping and looking to do, and to have so much room to play and to create was, it was an honour, and I feel very privileged at the fact that I was given this opportunity, because it was a part I'd not done before. So,
Love that. Yeah, there was lots of different aspects to your character, more than perhaps anyone, which was really interesting to play out. My next question's for Lucas. I wanted to ask about Adam has some memorable scenes too. In particular, there's I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about those golden shower scenes and how they kind of play out. And I wondered, what was your reaction to reading those scenes in the script, and what was that like to film as well on set?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are working on material that is very, very honest and shows a fully formed character, and for some of that involves their sexuality and their fluidity. So for me, I thought it was just a really interesting part of him, and I always like to look at what we don't see about characters and what they hide from people, and what what has led them to that, where they feel like they can't fully show people who they truly are, and where that stems from.
Kate and Joe have a very complicated relationship, but there's these little moments I thought were really intriguing, where Joe's doing his internal narration and he's just thinking to himself, and then Kate almost calls him out on it, almost like she can see what's going on. It's almost like she has inside knowledge like the audience does. And I wondered, what did you think of those scenes, and what was your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, I just think there's something really satisfying about, it's almost like you're breaking the wall a little bit. You're realizing that, like, it's not just, you feel like you're on side with Joe, as in you're listening to his thoughts, and as an audience you're the only people, but the idea that maybe that crosses over into the world of where he is, and that maybe someone can see that in him is quite satisfying. Plus it makes Kate feel a little bit like she can really see him, when he manages to fool most people. Yeah,
she definitely has like extra insight, it feels like. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you. And Tilly, Phoebe has so many great stand-up moments too. There's so many I want to talk about, but there was a really kind of a funny one, with her and Adam, Phoebe and Adam, trying to reconnect, as it were, with the golden shower idea, and Phoebe's getting confused. Can you talk me through filming that scene? Because I imagine it must be hard to do it with a straight face. There's so much going on.
Well, I woke up that morning with a terrible migraine, so it was kind of the last scene I wanted to film.
Do you think that was related?
Everyone kept saying it was stress, but I was like, I'm not
I'm really
stressed. I was
really
I'm really chilled. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You were chilled.
Yeah. I really wasn't.
Well, now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of written as a kind of comedic moment in the show, but I actually think it's a real poignant moment for their relationship, because it kind of demonstrates how much she's willing to do to get the love that she deserves out of her partner, and how far she's willing to go to prove herself. She's kind of, I don't think she's acting out of insecurity or desperation, but I think it's like she wants to as well validate Adam as well.
It's so lovely, that scene, just to chime in. It's like you really feel like she's not judgment,
Yeah, there's no judgment, and there was no judgment
because he's so afraid. You think there should be some, but she knows there isn't any judgment.
Yeah,
it's just,
and Phoebe's pretty game. She's been around the block, so.
Sure.
Like, I did have a line that said something like, "Oh, what makes you think I'm a prude?" So it's kind of very much within the realm of possibility for Phoebe to be into it. But also, Lucas and I weren't poking fun at it at all, because got to get your socks off somehow.
Listen, you
Is
get
that
your
the
socks.
phrase?
I think it's get your rocks off.
I
It's
quite like
nice.
socks.
Get your socks off is nicer.
And I also think he kept his socks on.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yes. They would know.
So I wanted to start by asking you about Nadia has such an interesting journey. There's a point in the middle when she starts knowing who Joe is, but she can't let on to Joe that she knows. And I wonder, what was it like to play that? It looked like, must have been, I thought, felt quite challenging. There's all these different layers going on, all within this one conversation.
It definitely was, but I think it was so exciting, because I just feel like I was so lucky on this season, because I feel like I got to do all the good parts with Joe, and then I got to go behind his back and figure it all out, and then I got to do all, if you're going to be in this show, I feel like I got to do all the things that you'd want to do. So I think I was, at any point that I felt a little bit, I don't really know how to do this, I had Penn there to ask, who is he's just the guru of the show, so I could turn to him and be like, I don't know how to do this. Am I doing it right? And he was great just for like advice and reassuring me. So I was very grateful to have him.
Oh, that's great to hear. You guys had a really standout moment together towards the end, especially. That final confrontation with Nadia and Joe outside by the car when she's looking for her boyfriend, and then Joe kind of reveals who he is to her in person, as it were.
Yeah.
Would you mind talking me through that? Felt like such a pivotal moment in the whole season. Can you talk me through filming that and reading that in the script, and just what was your general reaction to it all?
I think when I read it in the script, I was like, I just need to really learn my lines because I have no idea how I'm going to do this, and I don't think I'm going to know until I get there, because it's so like, I don't know what Penn's going to do, and it was my last day as well, so it was good to kind of do that at the end. And it was the first time, because like I say, Nadia got to see all the good parts of him. So it was the first time that like I saw that Joe look in his eye when he was in character. And I was like, I think that's when I was like, oh my God, I'm in you. Because it was like, it hit me, because up to then we'd been having like nice conversations about literature, our scenes. And so I think, I was probably a little bit scared. I was nervous, and I hope it's okay.
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole season. I think it's such a chilling moment to watch, especially for Nadia, because we've been rooting for her this whole time. She's been doing so well against him as well,
Oh, I know.
And that reminds me of, there's a little bit earlier when her boyfriend says, you're a superhero to Nadia. And I wondered, how do you feel? Do you see Nadia as the hero of the story? Because she does a lot of good, but then at the end, it doesn't all pan out for her. So I wondered, how do you feel about her in relation to the story as the hero, as it were?
I guess I do a little bit, because she has no agenda. She's not doing this because she wants something out of it. She's not getting a prize at the end. She's not getting money. She's just doing it for the greater good, and she's doing it because she sees like a woman who is in so much danger, and that's the only reason she's doing it. So I guess I do see her as a bit of a hero, and I think you wouldn't expect her to be in the beginning,
I wanted to, obviously season 3 and 4, would season 5 be on the cards for you potentially, or do you feel like Marianne's arc is complete, or would you like to come back?
I don't know. That's, I would love to come back again, and like because I feel like she hasn't gotten her piece yet, and I do think that she deserves that. She's had a hard life, man. She just needs a break, man. So I would love to see more from Marianne, and I would love to see. I just want her, if she's not part of the taking down of Joe, I just want her to be able to witness it.
That'd be brilliant. I'd love that. I think I just got time for one more question. I just want to ask quick as well about. So I also love the Owl House, which you've been a big part of, and I just wondered. It's so good, and but I'm sad to see it coming to an end, but I'm excited to see how it ends. And I just wondered, how do you feel about that show finally coming to an end soon?
I'm too very sad that it's coming to an end, because like I love, not only did I love, I've always been a fan of anything magical and witchy since I was a kid. So that show definitely spoke to my inner child as well. But I just also love like what that show stood for, what like Dana had brought forth, and the way that it advocates for LGBTQ kids, the way that it helps to disband and make them see bullying in a different way, that it's a very, like, to be a kid show, it is very real and very raw in a lot of its ways. And I appreciate that she didn't take for granted the intelligence of children, and the fact that they can understand things deeply and emotionally. Because that show to me gets very deep. It's like I cried in the booth like several times, like just watching or having to perform certain things. It passes just so many great messages for kids. So in that way, it makes me very sad to see it end. But I hope that it paves the way for more.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that play out between Adam and Phoebe, especially, and how that kind of evolves in their relationship. Thank you. Ed, my next question's for you about Reese. You mentioned there's obviously different sides to Reese. We briefly see the real Reese in that torture scene a few episodes before the end, and that looked very intense to film. I wondered, what was that like for you? Because just from watching, it seemed like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that was one of the hardest scenes to shoot, mainly because I suppose very quickly after that we shot sort of the reappearance of Rhys, and sort of having to sort of prep both things, and it was shot in the same day, you know. And I think one of the challenges with shooting a torture scene is he doesn't say a great deal, and he's just having to be, you know, just having full throttle Penn Badgley as Joe Goldberg right in front of you is quite a menacing thing, which, you know, allowed me to sort of play up to the scenario, I suppose. I think you have to just give over yourself to the scenario more than anything else. And the interesting thing is, quite often there's only like a few scenes where I actually play the real Rhys, so I have sort of a better understanding of the manifestation, you know, of Rhys. So actually, that was one of the bigger challenges, is trying to understand who he really was, because I had much more of a grip on this devil on the shoulder kind of character. But it was a fun day in some respects, but it was definitely trying to just stay sort of in that world and grounded was challenged.
Yeah, interesting. I guess because we see him through Joe's eyes more than we ever see him on his own ever, right? So we have this distorted perception of him. Yeah. Lucas, my next question for you. Adam's arc, it ends tragically, but we don't see what happens. We hear about it afterward. I wonder, how do you feel about his fate? And what was your thoughts on that?
I had love for Adam, and he's a complicated guy, and he's not necessarily a bad person. He's just someone who does bad things, or he's a hurt person who sometimes hurts people. So I was sad to hear about his fate, but maybe he'll be back as like a hot ghost. We'll see.
Always a possibility in you. That's so great. People will be campaigning, I'm sure. And I got another question for you. There's another really pivotal scene towards the end for your character in particular, or your manifestation character as well. You know, the bridge scene. You know, when Joe says "I love you" and all that stuff. Can you talk me through a bit about filming that? Because it felt really pivotal, I think, to the season as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those scenes where you see it in the script marked down, and you go, "Oh, that's potentially going to be a moment," or and as an actor, you go, "Oh, lovely, get all the juicy stuff there," because it's like lovely long pieces of dialogue, and you know they found this amazing location near sort of London City Airport and like near the Expo Centre, and you know, it was being up on that bridge. It was a very sort of epic cinematic day, apart from the fact to battle these planes constantly coming over, and yeah, I felt. Yeah, it felt like it's all the things that you have been working towards in a whole season. It was like a crescendo, and I suppose, if anything, Rhys has kind of gone full circle by that point, because you've seen him really berate Joe, like episode after episode. He's trying to, you know, manipulate and like get him to do everything he wants him to do. He's quite aggressive with that. He tries to charm. He does every different element, and I think this is actually when you see Rhys in his most simplistic form, where actually he offers himself over and going, "All I want is for us to be friends. I just want us to connect. That's all I really, really want from all of this. I can help you, and I can make you the best person that you can possibly be." And I feel that he's genuinely upset and genuinely heartbroken by the fact that Joe doesn't feel he needs him.
You know, forgiving Joe, and then not only forgiving Joe, but kind of allying herself with Joe and protecting him. I thought that was so interesting with the interview and New York and everything. Can you talk about that kind of climax to the season and what you thought of that personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's on one, in a sort of like other realm, you sort of feel it's really amazing that they get to kind of be really honest with each other. There's obviously nothing more sort of loving, I suppose, than really being able to share and connect and be equals. I don't mean like, you know, necessarily like overshare, and that can sometimes be a bit like, you know, imposing or whatever, but they do that together, I think. But, you know, on another level, that's really, I guess, where I kind of, I found it hard with Kate, because I'm kind of like, what? Like, she's enabling him to sort of slip through the net again. And not only that, but she's sort of being like, let's go. Like, I'm really okay with this. But it's not, I don't think it necessarily has to be well, yeah, I mean, that's just my personal thing. It's but I don't have a judgment on it. I'm not like, it's not really for me to kind of decide. it's just what happens, and it aligns with her. Like, she really does want to. I think the truth is that I think she thinks that if he can be okay, then she can be okay. So I think if she forgives him, it means that she has a potential for being forgiven. It's like she's saving herself while she saves him, and I think that's a big part of what it is between them. To be honest, they're both seeing their redemption in each other, and that makes them sort of a bit intertwined in that way.
Definitely. Yeah, I like how the arc evolves in some really unexpected ways, which I like. What was your favorite moment or perhaps aspect of filming? I wondered, what's the really positive thing you took from season 4?
That's really hard, actually. I don't really. My favorite moment, I really did like the scenes in episode 6 because it was when I could see everyone. So like before then, I didn't like all of the posh people. I wasn't able because all of my scenes were in the university, so that was kind of cool. And I just think, a highlight was just all of the really nice scenes that I got to do with Penn. I think actually no, shooting in the cage, that was my favourite thing to do because I just couldn't believe that I was there, and I still can't.
I was shocked when I saw the cage return as well. What was your reaction? Because there's so many twists. You must have, when you were reading it, there must have been some moments you're like, oh my god. Was there a moment in particular that you were like, oh my goodness, like, can't believe this has happened?
I think the end. I think the cage reveal.
Nadia ends up going to prison, but I feel like that doesn't necessarily write her out forever. Would you ever like to come back and play Nadia again, or do you feel like that's the end of her story now?
No, I would love to come back and play her again. I think that, if she can pull off everything she did in season 4, there's not much she can't do. So I wouldn't put anything past her. And I wouldn't put anything past Joe as well. I think that's the thing they have in common, weirdly.